Hello, welcome back to another session at Data Safeguard. I'm Damodar. With me, Lee, our CTO, and Bill, Director of Corporate Sales. Thank you for joining in, Lee and Bill.
Thanks, Damo. Thanks for having us.
Thank you. So, audience, today we will be discussing on the use cases of data privacy and synthetic fraud prevention in banking and financial services. In today's digital age, data privacy has become a critical concern for any organization, especially those operating in the banking and financial services sector. With the increasing number of data breaches and the rise in synthetic fraud, it's crucial for business to adopt robust measures to safeguard sensitive information and prevent fraudulent activity. This session aims to explore the various applications and use cases of data privacy and the importance of preventing synthetic fraud in the banking and financial services industry. So we have two gentlemen, Lee and Bill. Let me ask Lee. So Lee, based on your experience, what are the applications or use cases of data privacy in banking and financial services?
Yeah, great question. Thanks, Damo. So a few different use cases around data privacy. So when you look at it from the perspective of, redaction of PI data, or look at it from a masking perspective, those use cases are a little bit different. And for us, when you look at Data Safeguard, we can support both of those sets of use cases, both in our redaction product and then also in our masking product. But we'll talk a little bit about just the overall use cases. So in a banking and financial services environment, there's a lot of data, PI data, that is proliferating around the organization. Now, the data that is sitting within the system of records is very secure. There's a lot of security protections that are put on there. Just for clarity for people's understanding, when we talk about data security, there's a difference between data security and data privacy. We're a data privacy company. We're about, securing that data that is sitting within those environments. So just a point of clarification. So when you think about our use cases, a lot of times what happens is when that data that is sitting in a system of record is needing to be used by other parts of the organization, that data gets sent out either by a pull or a push to other environments, whether they're data warehouses, data lakes, databases that are specific to a line of business that are not within the enterprise itself. And that data gets moved into those environments for a variety of different purposes, whether it's for marketing purposes, whether it's being used for other AI ML types of purposes. It also could be used for development purposes. There's a lot of different use cases around that. So what happens is that when that data is being pulled or pushed, there's not as much security around specifically the PI elements. And so part of what GDPR and other regulatory and compliance mechanisms such as CCPA requires that when that data is being proliferated into other parts of the organization, that data is secured, specifically all data that's related to PII.
Well said, Lee. Good job. Yeah, just considering data privacy, redaction should be a component of that consideration. And when does that occur? I mean, just to kind of recap what Lee was touching on is, upon data acquisition. So when things are going into a system of record or production, it could be from a mobile app or some customer service data. Maybe before data distribution, like Lee was pointing out, might go to marketing or something to that effect. After a project's completion, maybe even data archiving and even data disposal, So those are the general aspects of when to look for or to place redaction efforts.
Great. Let me ask this same use cases or application for, let's say, synthetic fraud prevention losses.
Yeah, great question, Donald. So let's talk a little bit about synthetic fraud. So for those that are not familiar with synthetic fraud, there's the concept behind it is that a criminal will steal PII data, that is real data, like whether it's your name or your social security number or other attributes around PII data. They'll take that data and then they'll go into a banking and financial services environment, company, and be able to open up an account, as an example. They'll open up an account, and then what they'll do is they will go ahead and play the long game. What that means is they'll open up, a deposit account, they'll open up a credit account, and then they will go ahead and they will transact on those accounts for a long period of time. And then at some point in time, they will go ahead and they will take the money that they've acquired through that mechanism, and then they won't pay it back. So that's in essence the way the process works for synthetic fraud. So when you think about the use cases, what's really critical here is this whole concept within anti-money laundering, what's called know your customer. And what know your customer has, it has multiple components to it. It has every program for KYC, which is a part of the Bank Secrecy Act, is about not only knowing your customer, but having a customer information program. That means understanding for not only your existing customers, but also your new customers. And that's where the biggest challenge is for new customers that are coming in, is do you really understand who they are? Do you know them? Do you know if they are a true valid customer, right? So within banking today, there are mechanisms that various companies have, such as, not only a customer information program, but also they have a customer due diligence program, and they also have an enhanced due diligence program. So that's the foundation of what they do today. But where the challenges are is how do you really know if that customer that is coming to you, if that information they're providing to you is actually valid? Is it accurate? So that, to me, that is really what the use case is. And then what we do on our side from a data safeguard perspective, we provide you a product that works with those other processes and mechanisms. So that way companies can really trust that what they have and who they have in front of them is actually who they say they are.
Great points, Lee. Bill, anything you
Yeah, I
want to add?
think underlying that is that effectively redaction removes the source material for synthetic IDs. If they can't get to this material in the first place, they can't piece it together and create these IDs that Lee was touching on. And underscoring that is the understanding that attacks are all economically driven. And by removing the PII, which is the source material, we can change the economics. If they understand that this material is not available to them at this location, they'll move on. And moving on will keep the business here, in this case, the financial institution, free from the compliance issues. They are meeting the regulations, as well as any kind of economic issues that might come about of when they are, or when they are hacked, essentially, and when the material is stolen. So the removal of data is a key component to underscore the underlying takeaway of synthetic IDs.
Great points. Thank you so much for sharing your insights. Lee, anything you want to add on, or concluding remarks on both data privacy as well as synthetic fraud?
Yeah, and I want to just add on to what Bill's points are too. I think they're great points, which is, a part of our mission here at Data Safeguard is to, protect, or safeguard, as we call it, customers' private data, right? Yeah. And that is a really big focus in today's world, and it's not just about consent management systems, right? Where, you're out on a website and there's a cookie, or there's some kind of prop up that comes up and says, are you willing to share your data? Are you able to do that, right? It's not just about that. It's about making sure that when people give you that permission, are you really securing, are you really safeguarding that data to make sure that, yes, companies need to be able to share that data within the boundaries of their organization. That is absolutely true. But the key thing is that there needs to be cautiousness around how do you safeguard that? And so what we're able to do, both from our redaction product and from our masking product, is be able to make sure that they are 100% confident that they can do that. And to Bill's points, there are a lot of use cases that we can be able to support, whether it is, like I said, for masking or whether it's for redaction, that helps them be able to really fully, support that and make sure that they're meeting their compliance standards. That's a big thing today too. And you've seen this in the news. There's a lot of fines that are going on because companies are not doing a good enough job of safeguarding their customers, PII and PHI data.
Absolutely. Well said. Anything, Bill, you want to add before we conclude today's session?
Yeah, just the best way to secure data is first and foremost, or make data private is first and foremost, make it somebody's job. Give them the ability, the authority to have and make decisions. Leaving your data vulnerable is essentially unforgivable. You shouldn't do it. I mean, and you don't have to do it. And with the technology like what we have today, and what we have going forward, you need to understand that. I think there's a dog going off in my background.
This is fine. This is fine. Yeah.
Understand that bad guys will always have an advantage. I mean, they're not working 9 to 5. They're they don't have the business economics to worry about and the profitability to worry about and shareholders. And if we understand that they are economically driven, the removal of that data is a key component to changing the economics.
Superb. I think great session. If I conclude, data privacy and preventing synthetic fraud are critical for banking and financial services industry. By prioritizing data privacy and adopting advanced fraud prevention technologies, I think the BFS industry can minimize financial losses, protect customers' asset, and build trust with their customer. Right? It is the essential for business in the sector to stay updated with the latest data privacy regulations and invest in cutting-edge technologies to tackle the ever-evolving threat landscape. Data safeguard comes into play. By doing so, they can ensure a secure and protected environment for their customers and maintain a competitive edge in the market. So, thank you, Lee and Bill, for sharing your insight. And thank you, audience. And like every week, we will come back with a different topic, a different industry, and different point of view. And soon, see you soon. Thank you.
Thank you, Damo.
Thank you, Lee. And
Thank you, Dama.
thank you. Yeah.